talked about, your second annual in-person clinic, which is at Rhodes College. So kind of curious if you could kind of talk through how that all came about, how you guys decided to have an in-person clinic and what that's going to look like, and maybe who you have talking at it this year.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, I was sitting outside last winter, and it was actually, how Oklahoma has those days where it's 75 degrees outside, over Christmas break, and
Right.
I was sitting outside and I was playing with my daughter outside, and Coach Schiffman called me and said, "Hey, what do you think about a clinic?" And I said, "Well, that's something that we've talked about." And I said, "If we get it done." Now I'm thinking, a year or two away,
Right.
and he calls me back and he's like, "Hey, we're going to have a clinic in March." Now, mind you, March 4th is last year's clinic date. I was married on March 3rd. So I had to miss my 5-year wedding anniversary for the Hog Football Chat Clinic. But anyways, how we got started, yeah, my wife is a saint. And
it sounds like it.
Hey, she is the best coach's wife. I'm telling you, she puts up with a lot. But anyways, how it kind of got started is Coach Schiffman had a relationship with a guy named Peter Jennings, who is the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator over at Rhodes College. Now, if you guys don't know what Rhodes College is, it is I'm telling you, you drive through Memphis and it's Hogwarts is the best thing I could describe it as. It is the most nice manicured campus I've ever been on. But anyways, he knew this guy and they said, "Coach, we want you all to," they talked to us and said, "Hey, we want to have a clinic. It's a great idea. Memphis is really centrally located in the United States, continental U.S., stuff like that. Plus, they have barbecue. They got chicken. I mean, Memphis has got a lot of restaurants and a lot of entertainment. So we sat down and they, we got it all figured out, got us a speaker list, and they got the clinic done in a month and a half, and without ever doing it. And it was a success, guys. We were out there. We had 8 great hours of speakers. I don't know if you know Nick Caduti. He coaches down in Texas. He's an O-line guy. He was there last year.
Yep.
Is he from the Houston area?
Yeah, he's in the Houston area.
Yes.
He's a wide zone guy. He's really big with Alex Gibbs and talking about the wide zone. And he was there. Matt Jones with Lyman Lunch. I know everybody loves Lyman Lunch.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you a story about Matt Jones. He was actually on his way to the clinic to speak, and he had a blowout on I-55 between Jackson and Memphis, and he tore his bicep off the bone.
Wow.
He showed up and still spoke at the clinic.
Offensive lineman for you.
Offensive lineman, dude. Pop it back in.
Oh, absolutely.
Use your other hand.
Yeah. So, but anyways, we had Joe Ossovet, and I'll tell you guys this. If you guys have never heard of Joe Ossovet, you guys need to go searching now. He's an RPO king. He is, I'm telling you, we were very fortunate to have him. He was at ASA in Brooklyn. Now
he's at Tennessee, isn't he?
Yeah, he got hired on Coach Pruitt's staff over at Tennessee. And I'm telling you, Coach Ossovet, man, he brings juice to his clinic presentation, I tell you. And I'm telling you, he was excellent. And we had some other guys, but I'll discuss what we have this year. It'll be March 10th at Rhodes College, and March 10th, and it'll start at 12 o'clock. And that's when the clinic will actually start, and registration will open at 11 a.m. And who we got speaking this year is Josh Irgel, O-line coach at Austin PA State University. And then we got Joe Ossovet again. He's coming back, assistant at the University of Tennessee. We got Gunnar Boykin, the O-line coach at University of Central Arkansas over there in Conway. Chris Palizzi, safeties coach at University of Tennessee Martin. and Cody Kennedy. He's the O-line coach at the University of West Georgia. So all 5 of those guys will be there. It's going to be a great time. Those guys are all great speakers. I'm going to say the individual registration, if you pre-register, it's going to be $35. If you show up at the clinic day of, it's $90. And if you want to bring your staff, pre-registration is $90, and the day of the clinic's $120. So it's really very, very cost effective. I mean, it's doable, and of course I'm driving. I drive from, Shawnee, Oklahoma to Memphis. It's about a 6-hour drive. So, Coach Harper, I don't know if you know Coach Toole, who was at Sepulpa. He showed up last year.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, Gary showed up.
Yep.
Yeah, I do know him.
Yeah, Gary's a great guy. I'm telling you, he's a student of the game, and it was the actual first time we actually got to sit down and talk ball together, and I'm telling you, he's a bright mind, and so anyways, got fortunate enough to have him come out. I think me and him were the only 2 Oklahoma guys that were there, but we had a lot of guys there was a guy that flew in from Dallas like last minute. He wanted to come. We had about 70 guys there last year. So
that's awesome.
Successful. We had Rendezvous Barbecue, which is world famous in Memphis last year. We had that, and we had a breakout session afterwards. And it was a great time. I mean, it was a great time. We were very pleased with the success of it, with being, throwing it together a month and a half, 2 months. And, Peter Jennings takes the credit for that. He did a great job.
So you were at the Super Bowl. You're really good buddies, obviously, with Boyer. Being the DB corner coach for the Patriots. Describe that relationship a little bit. Maybe obviously you're not going to give any of the trade secrets and things like that. But what are some of the things that he says about working for a guy like Bill Belichick? Because I mean, all of our listeners, I think, probably have Bill Belichick on the short list of, one of the best coaches of all time. So you got some pretty unique insight into that, because usually he's a pretty guarded dude.
When Josh was first up there, it was challenging. It was, he said, being a quality control here makes GAing look like a part-time job. To the point that, one time the tradition between us and the 11, 12 years been in New England, he always calls me when he's coming home, or he always calls me later at night, like 10, 11 o'clock. Yep. One time we're on the phone, like he fell asleep. And I'm like, Boyer, and hung up, and he's like, calls me back about 5 minutes later. Oh, sorry, dude, I fell asleep. And I remember that first year in New England, they play the Colts in the AFC Championship game in Indianapolis, and I'm living in Ohio at the time, so I drive over, and we're in the hotel at night for the game, and I look at him like, "You all right, man?" Like, I haven't slept all week. So the Patriots do all their breakdowns by hand, and by hand I mean draw all 22 guys, what movements did they make. So he showed me some of that. I'm like, oh my God, this makes, you're right, it makes drawing cards look like vacation. So really just that attention to detail, and Josh did that for 2 years, and just all that football they learned, and got an opportunity to go on as be the corner coach from there. But just be able to survive that environment, and a lot of guys have come in and not survived, or gone on to do something else. So the guys that you see there in New England now are guys who were able to survive, being a quality control guy for 2 or 3 years, and really gives you an appreciation for how detailed it is, taking the time to do things right, being efficient with your time. And also, I think the other thing that Josh really comments on is, Bill challenges them to challenge him. I mean, he doesn't want a yes man. He will, Josh, if you watch the, Patriots do your job thing, one of the first things is Josh up there, he's like, you're sitting at a staff meeting and you're telling the first ballot Hall of Fame coach that he's screwed up. It's funny, that wasn't for TV. He's told that to me over the phone hundreds of times over the years. So it's just interesting challenge, as a head coach, being able to be challenged, and as assistant coach, not afraid to challenge the status quo.
What are some of the things maybe he said about, like, personnel? I've heard a few things that Belichick said, like later on in his career now, they ask him why he gets rid of guys or why he keeps certain guys. And I think the quote was something about like, I want to coach guys that I like. I've been in the game a long time. I'm old. I want to be able to coach dudes that I like. I mean, is that something that kind of permeates throughout the organization too? So, I mean, it's got to be someone that Boyer likes in the secondary. Is that why he kind of rotates through some of these guys, or do you have any insight on that?
I just say, not deep insight, but I will say that I don't think they put a lot of stock into the combine.
Okay.
Whereas, they want to see tape. They want to see what the guys like personality-wise. And I think you hit the nail right on the head. We want to coach guys that are Patriot guys. And you're at the point in your career where he's Belichick and the rest of this guys. You're kind of coming into the Patriot organization. You're going to do it their way, or you're not going to be there long. And that's been proven throughout the years. Albert Hainsworth was an example of that. Randy Moss, he was on the, he was in the program for a while, then kind of veered off, and they got rid of him. So, there's a Patriot way for sure, and if you don't follow it, you're not going to be there.